This week's sponsors are Devil's Cove Tattoo. Go see me mate John at Devil's Cove Tattoo Studio. Tattoos for Scousers from Scousers. You'll find all their links within the description. Give them a follow. Thanks. Hello everybody, welcome to the Billy Moore podcast, and today's special guest is mind coach Vinny Shoreman. How are you, mate?
Very good, thank you. Thanks for having me on, and I appreciate it. Thanks loads.
Thanks for coming on. You've led a very interesting life, I believe, and you've got some interesting stories to tell. So let's start from the beginning. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, about growing up, where you're from, and what you do.
I was brought up in Manchester, in a place called Partington in Trafford. One of 5 kids. Alcoholic dad, psychopath. He was a registered psychopath, my dad. A lot of people don't know that. He died when I was 12. I didn't have no relationship with him. Wasn't a very nice person, to be honest. To my mum, beat my mum up. Just wasn't a very nice guy. Ended up leaving there with me mum, and we ended up with a stepdad. Another sort of turbulent relationship with him. Never got on with him. And didn't really do much at school, didn't pay attention, was too busy messing about like most kids, but I was good at messing about. And just sort of like half fumbled my way through life really until I started Thai boxing, and then since then it's been a different sort of spin on life. So it's probably saved my life, to be honest. I'll be honest with you.
What, Thai boxing?
Yeah, because if I didn't, I was mental. I was hyperactive. I think of slight autism. I think maybe, or ADHD or something.
I don't think you're about similar. You're probably about the similar age to myself as well, Vin. So, we didn't get. There was no label back then of autism.
No.
Is it a label? Is it?
Yeah.
It was all you're on a bend. You're nuts. Yeah. He's not well.
Yeah, but I didn't mind that. I mean, I was round the bend in a way that it was never violent or, I was just mischievous, and I didn't have any. I had a stupid amount of energy, but the focus was always something else. It wasn't never. It was never school. It was never something that you'd get you a job. It was always just banana stuff, So, yeah, and then and then Thai boxing, and I started Thai boxing, and since then it's been Muay Thai boxing, the community, the people like who can meet good people like you, and the number of people could be here all day. The people, the brilliant, beautiful people I've met through the sport, and but it 100% saved my life. See,
it's you never had the best start of life by the sounds of it. I mean, listening to the beginning when you said your dad was a registered psychopath.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
That's it, and he died at 12, and you never had that relationship, so there was nothing developing.
No, I never had a role model. I never had a father figure in my life. And that place was probably took by Master Sken, really. Grandmaster Sken as he's called now. Someone to look up to. I never really had a solid male role model. I wasn't glad my dad died, but I wasn't also, looking back, I wasn't really arsed. It sounds a bit awful, really.
You know what, right? It makes me think, oh, my little boy would, look at me if I wasn't gone before my time, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't like him to feel that there was no relationship there.
Yeah.
So and I had a similar experience with my own dad. He was violent. Yeah. He drank a lot, And I went down a different path. I joined boxing. That was the same what you said, the community, the camaraderie, the togetherness, so to speak, the discipline. That kept me on a straight and narrow for a few years. But sounds like you had that similar experience.
Yeah, I mean, my mum had 2 jobs, 5 kids, kept it all together. I had asthma really badly as a child. Died twice because of it. Couldn't play any sports. Was always just so. My outlet was being stupid, really messing about, making people laugh, having just being the clown, really, and I got attention from that. And I was always good at speaking with people. I always had my mum told me when at a very early age I could speak from a very early age. I had that linguistic sort of skill set, and but yeah, my childhood it wasn't. I'm not going to look. You can sit here and say, A lot of people talking about childhood and then immediately go to the bad bits. I had an amazing childhood. I had amazing brothers and sisters who I love dearly, and they're fun and they've got great sense of humour. So I think sense of humour, you would have sort of Scousers, Mancunians, you know, any city. We always have this. We have this sort of dark, sort of comedic way of being because it alleviates the problems of
definitely.
Things, you know, like back in the day when blokes knocking women about, which is I don't condone at all. But, blokes knocking women about, it was just, as kids, it was just a dumb thing. My dad battered my mum last night because his tea weren't ready because he'd come back from the pub. It was that way. And
I used to always think, though, Finn, that I was the only one that experienced that.
I think
I'd go home.
Kids did.
Yeah, I think I'd go home and my dad had battered me mum because his tea was cold. It gets launched at the wall.
Yeah.
And we'd be all sitting there frightened.
Yeah.
I used to go to school thinking I can't tell no one, know what I mean?
Yeah.
No one.
Yeah.
No one's mum does this. They can't. No one's dad does this either.
Yeah, I got the tail end of it because my dad was on Stelazine, which is liquid kosh, really. So he was on that. But I remember once coming down the stairs. I must have been about 3 or something like that. I remember coming down the stairs and I heard him screaming. It sounded like a lion or like a clap of thunder. It was that loud, and he had my mum crying and all that sort of business. And there's a few flashbacks of things that I have in my head, but they don't send me anywhere. They don't send me anywhere upsetting. It's just that I do remember it. And my kids, so I look at my kids are like 16, 17 and 18. Yeah. And when I look at them and I look at me and how far beyond maturity they are compared to what I was, it's a little bit embarrassing, really, because my kids are good kids. I mean, they're not into Thai boxing, they're not into anything like that. But they are good, well mannered. They go to school. They're good kids. And but I look at them sometimes and I think they're more mature than me. But I guess they had I'm a different. I'm sort of,
different generation.
I'm glad I'm not the dad I could have had or could have been because of him. But yeah, different generation and a different way of being. But because fortunately we've evolved as human beings and we don't think that beer solves everything in our lives. But certainly not in mine anyway.
No, and I totally agree because I look at the kids today and I hear the way they communicate. I think I never had that vocabulary when I was a kid. They sound quite clever.
Yeah.
I must have went to a different school from everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I know what you mean.
And I think that you're right. We do mature. We grow up.
Yeah.
And that's by choice. I believe that we can stagnate and we can stay.
Yeah.
Like the immature and insincere around the way we are.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that I can identify with that totally. It's mad in that era. How old are you now, Vinny?
I'm 51.
So you're a few years older than me, by the way.
Yeah,
no, not that many.
And he looks it. But it's. I just think we're dealt cards at times, and it's how we. Some people are dealt some horrific cards, as you know. We know some stories where everyone's got a story from someone we know or may have the story that would upset anybody, the strongest of hearts. However, though, I just think that if you stay in the past and stay where you're stuck, you'll never have an happy childhood anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I was never good at anything. I was good at drawing. I think that's because left-handed as well. It's more artistic side of the brain. I believe the right side. And I was good at drawing, and I was good at messing about, and I was flexible. I could put my leg over my head, and I could be sick as well. I could vomit just for fun. I don't know. I know kids loved it. I don't even know why. They said I just used to throw up in class for a laugh, or put my leg behind my head, or do impressions of teachers and all that. And I always had that. But
did you think? Because I get the same kind of behaviour. It's like it's a way of deflecting and coping. Because for me, I was a bit of a comedian.
Yeah.
To avoid conflict.
Yeah.
Although I was always involved with conflict.
Yeah.
I'd rather blend it a little bit with humour.
Scousers have a natural humour.
Yeah.
I've never known. I don't really know of very many miserable Scousers.
No, there's a few
Well, I don't, and maybe I'm fortunate, you know what I mean. But they've always got this sense. You've always got some one-liner quips, which I love about the city. Liverpool's got my heart. I love Liverpool. I don't live here anymore because of circumstances, but I love Scousers. I still travel I've seen you at Four Corners, and I travel all that way. And I enjoy the training and I love it and all that sort of business. But, you know, it's just the people that I love and the camaraderie, and I'll never...
Yeah, as a city, we're unified. We collectively, we come together when the shit hits the fan. I do agree. It's a different kind of...
And you're welcomed with open arms as well. I never felt out of a wall or whatever. Yeah. You know, which, you know, whatever. But, I mean, I've never felt like that. So, but going back to school and the way I was acting and stuff, I never got any. You only had attention through, not academically. It was never. I never got any attention through the academics. It was always to do with the messing about, making funny noises, putting your leg behind your, throwing it, whatever. I only had that really, and physically I was skinny, believe it or not. I was that skinny, and I had asthma, so I never had the sporting side of being able to physically do anything. So. And as a kid, as a child, as a man, we look up to heroes. You know, the hardest kid in the school is probably the coolest kid in the school. The kid that could, you know, who you know, the ninjas, the Bruce Lees, the Chuck Norrises, the whatever, the superheroes, their archetypes. So, excuse me, I never had that. I never thought that I could get to a physical place because of asthma. Because of how I was, and then when I seen Master Sken flying all over, I mean, Master Sken's skill level, it was extraordinary. I mean, it wasn't normal. He could do things that was incredibly. He was just wow. And so seeing him, and then all of a sudden, I seen someone that I wanted to be like, you know, wanted to be able to mimic or have the values of, and he was like a master. He was all these movies you see in The Last Dragon. I remember watched The Last Dragon. I must have wore the tape out watching it, you know. And seeing him and seeing how I wanted to be like someone and a decent role model. And even my mum said before she died, I mean, she said to me that she's got a lot to thank Master Sken for me, because it gave me a direction. Everyone at school, the teacher said if he could channel his energies into something and excel at it. So I didn't really excel at it, Thai boxing physically, because I wasn't a fighter. I wasn't have that mentality, you know. Although I can look after myself, but I never got joy out of going in the ring, you know, and I never got that. It was funny when I was at the show yesterday, and I seen one of the MMA guys from Aspire. They're a great gym, by the way, and he was celebrating, and they were so ecstatic, and I thought I never felt that because it never meant that much to me. Yeah. But I've seen how much it means to him, and the energy and the joy and all that sort of business, and the joy from beating somebody up or whatever it is, or the getting the win from the combat. But seeing the joy, I sat there and I thought I've never had that, and I was happy for him. Yeah. But I also realised that I made the right decisions not to have loads of fights, because it never floated my boat ever. Yeah,
I was there myself with you, and it was watching something like that, and how it reminded me of when I was in the ring for the first time in Thailand, because I had my first Muay Thai competition in a Thai ring.
I know your story,
and it was and I was ecstatic because I remember the corner was all behind me. Everyone was saying, "Look, keep away from the grappling. Yeah, you don't need to get involved in all that.
You don't clinch with a tie, do you?
Yeah, you don't clinch with a tie. Keep away from the elbows. Avoid the knees. Use your hands, Bill. You know, they're your best assets." Because I was a boxer, Vinny. Yeah. I don't claim to be fucking Sonny Jar. You know what I mean? But I went and I remember I put him to Kip in the second round, and the feelings I had was similar to those young lads last night who were just like ecstatic, and the energy and the joy that they were feeling was just like, wow. And I think that was, for me, it was like an extreme. It was an extreme high. Yeah. It was a way of it was substituting the drugs. Yeah. Because I used to use drugs to feel that way. Yeah. And then I got it without it, and I was just high on life, and I enjoyed it. And I carried on doing that for quite some time, but there's only so far you can go with this sport or any kind of physical sport, whether it be weights, powerlifting, boxing, kung fu, martial arts, anything. You know, you're gonna get. There's going to be consequences.
Yeah, there is. I mean, but for me, I don't have many fights anyway. But after I got out, I was glad I got out.
Yeah,
I was glad I won to get out of there. I couldn't, because I was never in. I mean, look, a lot of people through life and yourself, never encouraged. But I never was encouraged to. I was never told I could do this. My mum wanted to be an actor. My mum wanted me to act because I was always acting up, so it made sense really. But my mum always wanted me to be an actor and go thingy. And I guess being a commentator with a commentary is an act, you know, because you know you let's be honest, you've got to pretend to be overjoyed to be there, and some fights aren't stimulating you. Let's be fair. And I think that part of me, and I'm very lucky, and I'm very lucky I'm not lucky, I'm blessed because I found a niche where I can actually enjoy it, be part of it, but not
participate in that. Yeah,
not be that in it that much. Because I was a coach and I trained world champions myself, and it takes its toll on you. And if you're an emotional person like me, you're a gold-hearted person. I know that you work with the community and work with people with disabilities, etc. And when you're very kinesthetic, which is feeling, when you take that on, especially a coach. Them losing, the generic things, it's just part of the game and that's the way it is and that's boxing and all that, as they say in boxing, and it's not. It hurts and it upsets you, and it's because you care for them, you love them. Every shot they take, you feel, and I think I'm glad I got out of it because it was taking its toll on me emotionally, and I got out at a good time really, because I found what I do now is what people know if I'm good at.
And we'll come to that.
And that's steered me in that direction. But Muay Thai 100% saved my life. The people, I've got great friends, lifelong friends through it, and you know, and if I could rewind time and do it all again, I'd do it exactly the same. It's easy to judge people, right? Because I was thinking about this, and you know, people that end up taking heroin, regardless of, you know, I know you've been there, but you know, it's easy to judge. I mean, it's easy to judge and stuff like that. But I think if I'd have been offered it as a kid, and I'd been offered, and everyone else was doing it, I would have done it. Yeah. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna say I look down at anyone, because I'd have done it. I'd have 100% done it. It was just I was lucky that my friends, called Russell Thornley, who was brilliant Thai boxer, you know, was influenced me enough, and movies influenced me enough, and I always wanted to be a hero. I always wanted to, I did Thai boxing, not because I wanted to be tough and wanted to be hard. I never wanted that. But I wanted to be I'd be walking to the shops or something and see a woman screaming and getting pulled into a car by some ninjas. And then go over and kick fuck out of them all. You know what I mean? Excuse my French. And I wanted that, the ability to be able to do things, you know, just have this. I think even when I watched anybody that was into martial arts, you know, like Jackie Chan or whatever, they always seem to have an inner peace, and I didn't think I ever had it. I still don't think in many ways. There's this inner turmoil, and it seemed to calm it with using, you know, it's all, you know, I'm talking about, you know, movies from like Run Shaw, the movies that they made, the Golden Harvest, all them kung fu movies.
I remember all them.
They were great, they were great. Drunken Master, etc. And I wanted that inner calm. I never seen Muay Thai as a ring sport anyway, because back then they used to fight Thai boxing, but they never fought full rules. Ronnie Green did, and Oliver and Humphrey Harrison. Oliver Harrison, God rest his soul. And seeing them, and then I had role models. I had Ronnie Green, I had Oliver Harrison, Humphrey, Bobby Beckles, you know, people like that to look up to, and Russell and my friend Muggy, and I had role models then, and they were role models that were decent people. They were tough. So 100% Thai boxing saved my life. There's no doubt, because I was an easily influenced kid. I would have done what the other cool kids wanted to do, and fortunately, it wasn't drugs and stuff like that.
I think it kind of shaped my life earlier on, but I kind of like let go of it.
Yeah.
During the holidays, and that's where peer pressure. They talk about peer pressure. I don't know whether it was peer pressure. and this is how it is for me. I think it was just like wanting to be like accepted and be a part of something. And the group that I was around at the time were like experimenting with cannabis and you know, and being someone who's disciplined and sane and running, you know, and then there's girls on site as well. So all of a sudden it's like it changes the whole kind of like way of thinking. And then I just went down that path and it kind of fucking wrecked me for a good few years. But it's also, I always come back to it. I always came back to it because I knew it kind of helped. You know what I mean? Yeah. So going forward with your life, you know, you decided to, you know, you've coached a good few people. In fact, Vinny's been on the Joe Rogan show 4 times now. Yeah. 4 times. Yeah. That's incredible. Yeah. You know what I mean? Joe's big, isn't he? In the game. He's like, I've seen a few of his podcasts. I think he does on Spotify now, doesn't he? Yeah, he does, and he's mentioned me a few times, and it's highly flattering, really. You know, I struggle with that. I don't struggle with going on it because I liked it, and obviously it does things great for my business. But I struggle with compliments. I don't really like them. I like them, but I don't. So affirmation. Yeah, I just go on. Thanks. It's not really what else. Right, good. Yeah, I've been on it, and I know what you mean. It's just, you know, I wanted it. I won't lie. As a younger person, I wanted that fame, you know, notoriety, being, and you know, when people say the #1 mind coach, I'm not. The #1 hypnotherapist, I'm not. I'm just me. And you know, there's other people out there who've got great skill sets who I admire and see, and they know things that I don't know. Oh, but when you've got Joe Rogan saying you're the #1 mind coach, then, you know. Yeah, but I mean, it's nice, but it's Joe Rogan's opinion. That's his opinion, If it's just Joe Rogan's opinion, then great. But I've got nothing but love and respect for Joe. He's a good guy. He gave me an opportunity to you know, going on that was my world title, right? Because it was put up or shut the fuck up, right? Yeah. And I remember going there, and there was me and Jordan Watson, another fantastic, great human being, amazing fighter as well, good guy, good friend of mine, and another guy called Brian Doble, who's got a gym in America, a lovely fella from Fontana. And they used to go over and see Brian and do seminars and stuff like that about the mind and blah, blah, blah. And I remember going in and meeting Joe Rogan, and when I shook his hand, he sort of like, you know, like went, you know, really at distance. You know, so it was going to go sleep, and when you wake up, you know, and it was so nerve-wracking because if he didn't go into trance, people put themselves into trance. I don't do it. I just suggest it. They do it. Like, all the work is done by the client. It's never done by me. So a lot of therapists will talk about how wonderful they are and that. It's never me. It's them. I suggest it. If they walk the path, that's down to them. It's not me. I don't want to. I just open a door. I'm a doorman, basically. Shoreman the doorman. I'm a doorman, and that's it of the mind. Yeah. So when I went in and he went under, and the relief was just madness, right? So if you watch the show, the very first one, I think it was YouTube 662, and I was on it, and I didn't know how big he was. I didn't have a clue. I just went, oh yeah, I'll go on it, and then I started looking into it, and then my bottle started going then because I thought this is high level. What happens? Yeah, this is like don't do your own work, just go on. Yeah, I didn't. I just went because it's like I've blundered my way through things, you know. Anyway, he went under, and at the beginning of the show, he said, "Let me tell you, hypnosis is real," and the fucking weight come off my shoulders because if I'd have gone on that show, and not hypnotized him. It was live, remember? So I was live in front of, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of people and going on to millions. I'd imagine I just sat there. Well, what else do you do that doesn't work? Do you know what I mean? So it was put up or shut up, but I had faith in my training. I had faith in what it actually does and how it helps people. And I just had faith in myself. And it's for the first time probably where I've really sort of had real 100% commitment to just me, because it was me. No one was going to help me. You know, it was me. No one else could. They could say, you'll do it and all that sort of business, but they couldn't talk you through it. So when you fight, they'd say, do this in this round, keep this. I had none of that. I just had me, and I think I'm I'm proud of my training for that. Yeah. But yeah, and then
since then, yeah, I've been on twice with myself and twice with Liam. So yeah, it was nerve-wracking to say the least.
No, but I agree with what you said there. It's like, you know, I watched last night's fights, and you see the trainers and the encouragement that they're shouting and they're screaming. Yeah. And I said to one of the lads who was standing next to me, I said, you know what? When you're in that ring, you can hear nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't hear anything.
Yeah, yeah.
I just hear I just feel punches and responding to those and reacting. Yeah. So no matter what, all that screaming, it's just noise. Yeah, yeah. It's just noise. Yeah. So do you actually like sit there and just like communicate with them when they're under about focus?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the client. See, this is the only podcast, and this is the only podcast that I've been on, and I've been on quite a few. I'm not trying to wave flags for myself, by the way. It's not me egotistical, but I've been on quite a few. This is the only one where I've got chance to say it properly. Yeah. You know, the people say, and what do they come to you for? You know, right, and what's this and what's that? And I like to be able to express it. I was determined on the way here to express it in a different way because, you know, it's straight down the middle. Yeah. What I do is, it depends on the client. You have a feel for it. You have an understanding. You have a knowing that, I think with the experience that I have, but I just have the understanding of what's needed to be done. You just get a feel for it. When it depends what the client wants. I mean, if they're under it depends on all the situation, what they want. But you believe it or not, the most thing that people need is confidence. Is confidence in the self, letting go of certain things. Because what you do is, when you remove a problem, you can't just leave a void. Yeah, you have to put something in its place. You know, it's like a bridge. If you take the middle of the bridge out, either side collapses. If you just take the problem out, so say the problem is, you know, the middle of the bridge is broken, take it out and it collapses. You've got to put something in the middle that's sturdier, or stronger for the imagination, or stronger for the client. And that's what we do, is we put in an inner belief, or move things out of the way, cause an amnesia towards a problem as well. So they learn to, like, there's a thing where you say, you remember to forget and forget to remember. So there's, you know, you remember to forget it, forget to remember it. It's like a double bind in a way. And that in itself, you push the problem out the way. There's so many different techniques. You're welcome to have a session anytime, by the way, if you would like one. Because then you can talk about how you experienced it, yeah? It's very difficult to explain it. Everybody said, the main thing is when you bring people out, and 3, 2, 1, back in a room or whatever, as they say, in hypnosis, whatever. And they always come out of it, and most people say, wow, that was weird. You know, instead of, it's always, people have a lot of misconceptions about hypnosis. I don't do comical hypnosis. I'm trained to do it. I don't believe in it. I don't think it's funny. Never enjoyed it. I think it's stupid that, right, if people want to make dicks of themselves, fine, just get pissed or go and do whatever you got to do. With my job, I like seeing people. I think because I never had anyone to show me how. See, when we was kids, and this goes back to when we was kids, I think. When I was a kid, right, I believed that anyone that had more than us. So when I moved from Manchester to Longside, which is a rough part of Manchester, and then we moved to Knutsford, which is a middle class area, but it's still on the council estate. People's mums had cars, and I was like, "Your mum's got a car." It didn't work in my head. My dad didn't have a car. My mum used to carry shopping back from the village in town or whatever. I didn't get that, or they got the bus or the taxi or whatever. We didn't even get taxis then. It was bus. And I just, when people had cars and that, I used to think, how do you afford a car? Yeah. So I had this in a thing that I was at a level where I would never get anything. I'd just be working a job, get a kid, get the wife, get the wife first, get a wife, get a kid, and that'd be it. And I'd work and I'd sit there and pretend to like football because I never did. Yeah. And I just had this idea. So when I seen that life can be different, I can get the things that I want. I could go to places. It was a limiting belief that I got rid of, and I like that in people. I like in people when the fear is a big bind of people's lives, and when people get through that fear and stand on the other side, there's nothing better for me as a human being to be able to give people a light in that's what that says. there is always light. It's in Hebrew. It's Jewish. I'm not Jewish, but I just like the writing, and that's why there's always light. And there's all. I like seeing people. And I like seeing people happy, and I think that's why I messed about at school. Did all the things. I like making people laugh. If I can't make people laugh, I like making people happy, because I don't like people being upset. I think it's probably goes back to my mum, how my mum was levered all the time, and how my dad put some level of fear in this installed it in me. So when I see people happy, see people, client have the therapy and put all these demons to rest, I like that. I think that's the biggest thing for me, is seeing people.
Well, you've got that nice aura about you.
Thank you.
Anyway, Vinny, and it's quite an attractive quality. You know, I seen you last night, and the way you approach people and people approach you, and it was quite nice. And I get that way of growing up and that belief system that we're conditioned to have, that we can't afford. We're never going to be good enough. You know, I blame myself. I'd say I was a victim of society. I was, I was brought up on beans on toast, which is nothing wrong with beans on toast as a kid. You know what I mean? Some people had nothing. And we shopped in second-hand shops. So for us to comprehend that having a car, like you said, my mum was, when you talked about your mum carrying shopping bags, my ma had 6 of us, and she carried like there was the quickie back then, and there was just she had tons of them quickie bags, you know what I mean, and they were hanging off prams and everything, and there was no taxis, we couldn't afford nothing like that, and you just watch your little mum carrying this, you know what I mean? Well,
did you have a Lucozade when you was not ill?
Yeah.
I mean, not if you had Lucozade when you remember the old Lucozade with the orange paper.
You bring it to the Aussies and stuff like that.
And people are like, wow, you got Lucozade and no one's ill. When I moved to Knutsford, because I come from Longside, they had grapes and no one was ill. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? They had like garlic. What's that? And they had mayonnaise, and they had
jam.
I never felt like I fitted in. So it even compounded. I came from that Longside. Everyone in Longside had nothing. And then I came to Knutsford, where everyone had stuff, and I had nothing. Do you get me? And then I was like, it compounded that belief that I'd be no one, that I would. They spoke different. They had a different accent. And I was like aya, and they had aya, and they never say hello. And not all of them, but in my mind, it was like I've moved into. I don't know. It was like an urchin from like Charles Dickens era to moving into London, into Kensington or whatever. It was very weird, and I rebelled against it. I did. I was like, I hated everyone. I hated anyone that had stuff. I hated. I thought you'd have to step. You can't have a car without stepping. You obviously used people like ourselves and our families to get where you wanted to. I didn't believe that people worked hard. I thought they worked hard, and you work hard and you got nothing. There was always going to be this
never-ending
greedy person just rubbing the hands together because you've made money for me. You know what I mean? The workhouses, all these things in my head. It's strange, really. Money's the root of all evil and all that sort of business. It's not people are the root of all. If they would have been like that, they use money for evil, don't they? So, but yeah, it was a weird time, and fortunately, now I've got a different mindset about it. But I believe I was. It sounds. Please don't think it sounds cheesy, but I believe for some reason I've been guided to do this job, no doubt, because I get it too. I get it. I just understand it. And it's a strange thing.
So you've got that awareness, haven't you? Yeah. It's like it doesn't just you've got to work on that. Awareness doesn't come like overnight. Yeah. I know, especially for the likes of myself growing up, I wasn't aware of anything. I wasn't aware that we had choices. People said, "Oh, you could have decided, you could have done this, you could have done that." For me, there was no education in that area. I was always put in like the dunce class, so to speak. Yeah. But that's what they called it, I think. I can't remember. Just a class for you were lacking in education. Yeah. So they'd stick it in these classes. And that was just, that's just the way it was. I was never made to feel like part of the schooling or part of the community. And I think that was due to the conditioning I had in the household as well. Father figures. The role that my dad played. Yeah. I was embarrassed of him. Yeah. He was drinking a lot, and I couldn't bring any friends around the house, and I didn't have any friends in the end, and no one knocked at the door. There was loads of contributing factors that conditioned my belief system. You know, when I started to resent people and hate people and blame, I blamed everyone for the way I was.
Same.
It was, you know, I'm blaming fucking school and blaming the police and blaming me mum, my dad and everybody else, Vin. And I was thinking, it was only like all that's changed where, you know, you mature, you become aware. And this is always happened. This happened to me where I changed, but everyone else stayed the same. Did that ever come? Did you ever notice that you changed and I grew mentally and physically in maturity, and all the people that are around you were still acting?
I wouldn't say maturity wise, because I still don't think I'm anywhere near as sure I should be. But I'm lucky because it seems to. When you get a certain mindset and you get a better mindset for wanting things in life, and you start to believe that you can actually achieve something, you start to gravitate to people, and people gravitate to you. You sort of like birds of a feather flock together, as they say. You know, I mean, let's for instance say, you know, a drug addict will go to the middle of another city and find another drug addict within, because somehow they seem to gravitate towards each other, which is sad. Of course it is. You know, and it's there's a lot of sad things going on in the world, isn't there? And I just seem to have a collection of friends that now, not so much go-getters, but they're achievers. You know, Gavin Sterrett, who's fought on Bellator, who was commentating with last night, been all over the world with the Wolf's Lair and blah, 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 and people like that. And, you know, met Justin Bieber and amazing people. The people that I work with, Warren Brown, who's an actor, he was in Luther, and he's just filmed something with Martin Freeman in Liverpool recently. Great guy. And I have all these people around me now, and I gravitate you know, and you just seem to get these people around you. And I think that's some weird sort of inner connection you have with people that are talking the same language unconsciously. And I think you get that. And I'm lucky. And I'm lucky to have that. I'm lucky to be where I am through, look, I've lost jobs, I've lost relationships, I've been through all sorts of stuff for the sport, for Muay Thai, and I've lost loads of things for it, but I've gained masses. And I think you gravitate towards that. And I think similar childhoods, although you took a different path than I did, I think the beginnings of your life, they're so important. This is what I think about the pandemic. So, look, I don't know. And anyone that tells me what they're doing is, you don't fucking know either. So don't tell me. Because anyone that says, well, what they're doing, I say, all right, then what for? And then they go, yeah, well, because, but what for? And then they go, well, I don't know. They always end up going, well, I don't know. Well, you don't know then, do you? I don't know. Hand on heart, I don't know. What I do know is, what you're spewing out while you're arguing with Sharon or Facebook or fucking whoever, or arguing with something, children are listening to it. And they're taking in all this misinformation or information. All it is, like, look, at the end of the day, it's bad time. I just have to reiterate this, by the way. But children are listening. And you're creating a problem within their minds. We don't know what we're going to do. It seems to me like there's the light at the end of the tunnel with all this, yeah? But it's the children I worry about. Because, for example, when I was a kid, there was a TV show in the 70s called Planet of the Apes. And it was a TV series about two astronauts, Planet of the Apes, blah, blah, blah. I remember watching it. And then when the Planet of the Apes had finished, I watched the news. And the news said, there's been guerrilla warfare in Sierra Leone, wherever. Guerrilla warfare, to me, is gorillas.
Yeah.
So I went, wow, it's fucking real. But don't forget, that's a child.
Yeah.
And what the unconscious mind will do, the unconscious mind will take that literal and it'll keep it. So if you hear a noise and it says, that's the wolf of I don't know, Longridge. Yeah. Longridge, the wolf of Longridge Woods, and you think, maybe there's a wolf there. And then years later, you'll go, was there a wolf? Do you know what I mean? People, and when you're just saying it, kids are taking it on.
Yeah, but it's like
it's dangerous.
We had growing up like Purple Aki.
Yeah.
You know, that was your your ma would threaten you with him.
Yeah.
You can't look, get in. The purple fella will come and get you, and you'd be like, whoa. Yeah. But then the people had spread rumours and it'd manifest, and and all of a sudden...
It's a fear-based issue then.
He's a monster.
Yeah.
And whether he is or whether he isn't, I don't know.
Yeah. But you see where I'm coming from. It's like you've got to be. We just say things. Listen, and I don't go, and I'm always never mindful of what I say around my kids. I'd be lying. I'm not pretending that I don't. Not pretending that I haven't. But I'm just saying, just be careful because they're soaking all this information. From 0 to 7 is the imprint period, right? Yeah. So when you're born, so you can't communicate because you can't communicate linguistically. You can't communicate your emotions because you don't know what they are. And all you're doing is you're videoing. You're downloading information.
Oh, you're observing a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you're taking all these things. And don't forget, what we say is golden. You know, we can drive, we can get dinners, they can make chips, whatever. You know, all of a sudden, we're this great, we live forever. Yeah. You know, we're immortal, we can fly, whatever. We're heroes to our children. And if you're saying all this and you're scared, what are you imprinting?
Fear.
Exactly. Yeah. And later on, in years to come, you're going to need someone like me to try, not always successful, most of the time, but to try and get rid of that doubt. And it's hard. So any advice I'd say to anyone is while this is going on, is just tell them that everything's going to be all right. And if it isn't going to be all right, fucking lie. Yeah. Just lie.
Fake it to make it.
Fake it to make it. Yeah.
And I totally agree with that, Vinny. It's I've become more mindful in this past year since I've had me little boy, to be honest. And I just remember how it was for me growing up. Although at that age I wouldn't remember nothing. Yeah. But I want to keep it so it is. Yeah. It's constant. You know, and consistency with it. You know, and I communicate positive, fucking positive way of living. Really, you know what I mean? You know, I'm not trying to tap into all that fear because I used to see if I saw my dad or my mum scared, then I was scared.
Oh yeah, of course.
You know,
well, that's how phobias are.
Yeah.
You know, people say phobias and come to me. Oh, I'm scared of spiders. Oh yeah, okay. Who's scared of your mum or your dad? Oh yeah, my mum is. It's an imprint. Yeah. You know, so it's an imprint. You end up saying, and say, oh well, I won't be like my dad. But all right, how many language patterns do you use that your dad would have done? You know, if you're gonna go, like for instance,
I used to say that. I would be like my dad. I don't like him.
Yeah, well, you say you
but it was different. Although he was on the alcohol, I was on the drugs.
Yeah.
So I'll never be like him, Mum.
Yeah.
I know you won't, son. Boom.
Yeah.
I justified not the drinking, but the using as not being like him, but the behaviour was similar in some areas.
Yeah. Well, even if it's not the behaviour, it's the language.
Yeah.
You know, you treat this place like a hotel. You know what I mean? Or all the things that
son of mine.
Yeah. Or
there's all that bollocks as well.
Fucking get out. But it's just one of those things where, and you've just got to be careful of what we do. And I think you can imprint a lot of things. And I think society, the media, listen, there was a newspaper once called Good News, and it lasted, I think, a month. No one wanted to read it. They don't want to read it. They went, oh, there, blah, blah. It's never stuck in anybody's mind, And I think you've got to be able to control yourself and just be mindful. Whatever you believe, up to you. Vaccine or not, I don't care. Up to you.
Well, and I spoke about this the other week with someone, and it was like, I've got my opinions, and I've got me. I've also got my concerns and my fears, and I think they're also built in through social media. Yeah. And the controversy that's going on and the debates and, the scientific experts and against the government kind of allies. It becomes, it's really, really toxic. Yeah. It becomes a place that I don't really want to be in. Yeah. So I stopped watching the news a while ago. I used to wake up when I was watching it was the same thing and it was like, this is shit. Yeah. It's like, it's repetitive. It's all clickbait. So, and then people tell me things and say, you haven't seen the news? And I go, well, no, because I don't watch it no more.
Well, the thing is as well, this is an interesting fact. So when from 1914 to 1918 was the First World War, 1939, 1945 was the Second World War, the language patterns that we used are different to what we use now. So people will spew out, you've heard of anxiety in the 70s? No. You wouldn't have heard of depression.
Or mental health.
Mental health, they do exist, of course they do. This is no way, shape or form putting a downer on them or saying they don't exist. They do, of course they do. However, we so easily admit defeat and lethargy that we become it. Look at where you know, how often do you hear courageous, triumph, you know, resilience? These words that we had to use in those wars, because we had a choice. We either fought and got together as a community and as a race against what was I believe was evil incarnate, especially Hitler. Was what he was doing, the horrific things. But we never had that collective, and which is sad in a way, because it's there's a bigger class divide now than there've ever been because of Instagram, because people only show you here's me. Blah, blah, this is living my best life, which you never fucking understand. You've only got one. And where was your other shit life? Or have you not got, you know what I mean? Where's your mediocre life? Living my mediocre life.
Well, I've got my life back.
Yeah.
That's another one of
it's whatever. But it's just that people are readily admit defeat now, instead of looking out of trying to go, right, I want to get triumphant, I want to be courageous, I want to push on.
Do you think people get complacent in the way they think?
Yeah, I think people look at things. I have got clients that are ridiculously rich, right? They've earned it themselves. The people I look up to, these people that have done brilliant, and I've got nothing but love and respect from. They're great people. However, sometimes they're not happy. So people look at things, look at this watch, look at my car, look at this helicopter, I've been on this boat, right?
Ego.
Good. Yeah, it's down to ego, but it's all down to they think things make them happy. Yeah. Things don't make you happy. Yes, they alleviate some things of the problems, like not having enough. And listen, it's no way, shape or form in any way looking down on anybody. But when they get these things, people strive for these things to think that that's what will happen. And when they get it's like, say, for instance, you climb Everest, you get to the top and go, yeah, it's high. Do you know what I mean? It's what goes on here. Regardless of, if you've not got a level of gratitude, happiness, understanding, learning about you, money's not going to change it. It's not. I've seen it. So I'm evidence. I'm from a council estate. I'm from the hood. You know what I mean? I'm not. You know, all right. I'm not the. It's a maybe particular that sort of act away a hood person would, or you know, like I don't wear right. Put my hands on the front of my trousers, counting my bollocks. But I do know that it's not everything, and you've got to learn to be at peace with you. And I'm still doing that, and I just think the inner journey is more important than the outer one, because if you're not happy inside, you're only going to see shit. That's exactly what you're going to do. You're going to view the world as shit.
So things don't make you happy. Material stuff. No. Right now, on an identification, I used to think, you know, I'll buy something nice, a nice swap, a nice tracksuit, it'll make me feel good. You know, and there and then, yeah, it was nice to dress. But it wouldn't take away in the long run the feelings that I had going on inside. It was always like I was always looking outside to fix what was going on within. And someone said, you need to go within. You know, you need to go without to go with it. Go within to go without or something. Yeah. The saying goes. And I to try and get, because I was in Thailand and I tried all that thing, you know, like the spirituality stuff, because that's important.
Yeah, of course.
You know, it is important. I mean, for me, you know, to be grounded. You know, you were talking about like the old Kung Fu Master Sken and the way he was grounded, and I've been in cells with 80 ties, and they're all like, it's like, yeah, it is what it is. And I'm like a leggy mouse running around, and they're all going, yeah, yen, yen. You know, calm down, have a cool heart. And they're talking to me in a soothing language. And I just couldn't understand why they were all like, just like cool, calm, and just collected with things, and just took things, you know, in their own little pace. Yeah. And I always wanted, like searching for El Dorado, wasn't it? You know, you're looking for that. Yeah,
looking for that nirvana. Yeah. You know, and I'm not like that anyway. Yeah. I'm still not calm, collected. I always found it very difficult to be relaxed. I've never been relaxed.
Oh, I'm the same still.
It's just it's like a cat on a hot tin roof, I guess. Yeah. But I mean, but I have a level of. It's taking a while, and it will take a while. But there's no rush. You know, I've still got some time left. Yeah. But I just think that it's that the people are not willing to. anything that you want to be successful at, you've got to be willing to bleed for, cry for, feel pain for. People don't. They go, oh, that's a bit hot. I'm not going in there. Nah. You've got to be able to do that. Like I said, I've lost lots of things through Thai boxing and lots of things through this job. My mum thought that when I was learning to be a hypnotherapist and neuro-linguistic programming that I was qualified in, and hypnosis, timeline, whatever, Mum thought it was a cult. Mum said, well, you're joining a cult. I was like, right, okay. You know, you've got to be able to go against the grain to follow what you've got to do. It's a cliche thing, but if you're not willing to bleed for it, it's like Liam Harrison, for instance. I've seen it. I've seen what he's gone through, and there's more to it because he's obviously gone through more. But I've seen what he's gone through to get where he had to get. Well, you've gone through. You know what? You know, John Gillies has gone through to get four corners. I mean, I'm so proud of him, and I wanted to reiterate that to him. I love John. I think he's a great guy, and he's got heart of gold. And I've seen what he's done. Yeah. And I've got nothing but love for him. And Borley and Ozzy and Brian and everyone at the gym. I love that place. It's a home from me. It's the place that I miss the most when I go abroad.
It's when I first met you, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's a good place. I meet good people. So it's a good place. It's a great gym. And it's doing so well. And I'm so happy because they deserve it. But it's like I've seen so many people bleed for what they've got and to go through pain to what they get. And if you're not willing to do that, you're not doing it then, are you?
Risks, do you think?
Risks, that's the thing. People say to me, oh yeah, you've worked really hard and you deserve it.
A few risks.
I've took risks. I walked out of a job. It was a comfortable job. The boss was all right, but I hated the work. I couldn't get my mind off learning more hypnosis things, listening to CDs of the teacher that was, the course I wanted to do.
Did you ever read like The Road Less Travelled?
No.
That's probably
There's loads of great books, Celestine Prophecies and Erroneous Zones by Dr. Wayne Dyer. There's so many great teachers out there. You can find them, and YouTube's such a blessing.
It's a resourceful place,
isn't it? It's amazing. Yeah. And people like Joe Rogan, Wim Hof, these people that are willing to bring people in to educate us all. James English, yourself, good people, bringing in education for us to make life easier. We've had it. I mean, a friend told me the other day that we've got life easier. The average person has got life easier than royal family had 200 years ago. There's more luxuries now in the world. And I think some of the times when we worry about the things, or we complain about things we complain about, it's a luxury problem anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what I want. The luxury problems that we have.
Luxury problems, yeah. I mean, I need a new phone. Oh, fucking shame. You know what I mean? It's not like you need a new foot. Yeah. Or you need, but it's true. So the lady that works for me is called Karen, and she's had cancer. So when just before the lockdown started, she had stage 3 breast cancer, and I've seen what she's gone through, and it's only through distance. I've not been at, I've only seen her through talking to her and stuff like that, and thankfully she's getting to where she should be. But she's suffered, and not being able to have anyone go with her to the treatments, and not being able to have anyone to at the doctors with her and stuff like that. That's fucking horrific. But she's got through it. She's getting through it. And they're my David Goggins. David Goggins, the motivational guy who runs 50 miles and all that sort of stuff, but never smiles, which is whatever, good. But I've got so many people I look up to, like Liam, people that have done things, it sounds awful, but not average people that you would in the street that have gone through things that would make an amazing movie, and I see that all the time with clients. So I'm not short of role models. I'm not short of heroes. I'm not short of the people to look up to make me strive to be better. And it's
that word you used before, resilience.
Yeah,
right. That's a big word. And people have mentioned that to me, and you've been resilient, Bill, and and the way you've overcome a lot of issues in your life, so to speak. And I was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer. I had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which was like above,
my friend had that as well.
Above and below the diaphragm, and I was going to the appointments, and I was going on my own because it was I couldn't face people, and I wasn't as brave as your friend in a sense, where people say, oh, you're courageous, and people used to say to me, right, Vinny, you need to fight this, right? And I was thinking, how can you fight something that's invisible, right? Yeah. And the only way I fought back was I put a pair of gloves on, And I started hitting bags, punch bags, just started hitting them again. Because for me, for someone to say you need to fight it, you're like, what? How do you even begin?
Yeah.
How? Is it mentally?
Yeah.
Because, I
believe... has to be mentally, doesn't it?
Yeah, it has to be, because to just go, to surrender in that way and go, fuck, hands up here, I can't do it. And you said it before about a lot of people admit defeat.
Yeah.
Right? Once you admit defeat, right, you've lost.
Yeah.
You've lost. And
Well,
I that's why I enjoy these podcasts.
Yeah, well, thoughts go, energy flows. So, whatever you think, you become. If you think you're weak, you'll be it. There's a famous thing, a book called Power versus Force. I think it's Richard Dawkins. And he and he demonstrates, there's a demonstration of it. I do it in seminars, is what you think you'll be. You think you'll be weak, you're going to be weak. And yes, a mindset's going to get you. Look, and there is some things, things that you just can't do anything about. Sometimes life can be a twat. But what people need to understand, and I believe, is start galvanizing yourself against things. Start looking to be more resilient within. You're always going to get resistance, because we're designed from, look, this software that we have in our minds hasn't changed millions of years. So in our mindsets, we like the path of least resistance, because we're humans. We're meant to, the easiest thing to catch, the easiest thing to eat, the easiest thing, it's always the easiest way, because that's what we're designed to do. We don't want to take risks. Not really. If you had a choice when you was in the self, say you go back in time and you're in prehistoric man, you can get killed by loads of stuff, and not only would the other village will kill you, but there's animals and stuff like that. So you'd keep in a place where you'd keep safe. That mindset's been within us. It's within us all the time. So to step out your comfort zone takes a lot of going against that resistance, and resistance is always going to happen in everybody. Yeah, it's never going to go away. No. So you're always going to have that inner grandma, whatever, saying, "Oh, that's dangerous," or "You could die there," or "You could this, and this," or "They're not going to like you." You've got to go against that. Is it easy? No, but that's what successful people do. Is they go against this inner resistance, and you have to avoid that. I didn't pass my driving test until I was 45.
Well, you know what? Neither did I.
We're similar. It's like, and it's just because, what did I have? It's easier not to drive. Fuck it. They're all dickheads anyway. I had all these sort of, these reasons. Reasons are excuses, by the way. I had all these reasons. However, I lived here. I had to get to see my kids who were in Cheshire. So I had to learn. Yeah. And I passed it. I failed it 5 times. Am I the best driver in the world? Certainly not. However, you've got to go against that. Am I a success story? Not really, but I'm a success story to myself, because that's the bit that I had to do. So you've got to go against it, and it's not easy. Saying what you should do is you breathe and meditate, and it won't go away. You've got to. The amount of times I tell my mind to fuck off, I'll fuck off. It'll go, oh, well, this, that, and the other. I just go, fuck off. It's not that deep. That's something like Barry White. But know it yourself. Yeah. How many times do you not want to go to the gym?
I get there sometimes, think I can't be asked. But then I start, and then it's okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I had a hip replacement last year, September. And it was in the lockdown. I had to pay for it privately. I'm lucky enough to be able to do that. And I thought a way that, don't have it. Just wait till blah, blah, blah. My mind's going, talking to me. And it'll say, oh, no, you don't need it. Don't have it done, blah, blah, blah. You'll be all right. I needed it done. It was fucked. And then I thought to myself, what if I die in Leeds? Because I had it done in Leeds. What if you die in Leeds? I thought, of all the places I'm going to die, Honestly, that's what my mind was doing. Because everybody's is the same. Because it's trying to protect you. Because danger is danger. But you've got to be able to resist that and go, look, I'm not getting part of this. I'm not taking part of this, and move away from it. And I think people have got to beat themselves.
That's exactly right. I do it overnight, and I think that's the worst time for most people is like when it's really quiet, and you're winding down, but your mind's winding up, because then it wants to talk to you in a voice that you understand, and and it's the voice of it's not of reason. Sometimes it comes through the back door uninvited and tells you that you're shit, and that your life's going to be over quite soon. You know what I mean? I get all that.
Yeah, of course.
Then I think to myself, fucking hell, I'm getting this age, and I'm going to be able to do that. Yeah. And then it puts me in a little bit of a place where I feel a bit negative about everything that's going on, and I'm aware of it, you know, and I think, look, lad, you're only 40 odd, you know, fucking hell, just you're strong, you're physical, you're physically active, you know, stop believing in the lie, because that's what it does. It just lies to you. You know, it constantly lies to you.
But this is what people don't get about anxiety, Billy, is anxiety is always for positive intent. Always positive. Because it doesn't want you to take risks. It's trying to protect you. Every single time it's trying to protect you. And it comes across in a weird way where you think, blah, blah. It doesn't want you to be embarrassed. It doesn't want you to take risks. It doesn't want you to get hurt. So it protects you in a way that puts all these negatives there because the danger, this can happen, or you'll get rejected. They won't like you. You're from there. You're from that. You're too tall. You're too fat. You're too skinny. Whatever. They'll say all these things because it's to keep you back. You've got to go against that resistance. And it is very, very difficult. And that's why everyone won't make it. I did a seminar once in Scotland, and I said, look, you're all not going to be champions. And then the coach rung me, oh yeah, we loved it, but you did say they're all not going to be champions. I said, well, I'm not going to fucking lie, do you not?
They're telling you the
By the way, you're all going to be champions, and everyone's going to be rich, and we're all never going to die, and we're all going to learn to fly and touch everything's going to, well, the Midas touch, everything we touch turns to gold. No, there is some that are going to do it. There is some that aren't. It's sometimes circumstances will trip you up. It's the ones that get up. I've not met anyone that's successful that hasn't gone through pain, that hasn't had that resistance, because it exists in all of us. It always will. It'll be with you until you die. You're always going to have that whisper that tells you you're going to doubt yourself, or regardless of people say, you'll never doubt myself. You're lying. You're lying. When you're in bed, or when you come back from a rejection from an interview, or a rubbish training session, or when you got your head punched in sparring, it's going to whisper to you.
Yeah.
It's whether you just say fuck off or not to it. That's the thing.
When you start cultivating that voice, and start letting it grow, you know, and it becomes a bit more like popular then in your mind.
Oh yeah. It goes. It's your go-to, isn't it?
Yeah, it's your go-to voice, then, isn't it? And I don't know whether you did. You probably did, mate. And I used to talk to myself a lot growing up as a kid. Yeah. Full-blown conversations, right, on my own. Yeah. Right, and I thought
I still do.
That's sort of way. But I used to have the best conversations going. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think that's it's weird, that, isn't it? Because we don't really acknowledge how we communicate with ourselves.
Yeah.
Because people think that we communicate with ourselves when we're just like being mindful and we're silent. You know, we've got to talk to ourselves.
People don't like silence.
No,
they can't handle it. No, silence screams at people. It's weird. So that's why I can't sleep without having the telly on. You know, or no one communicates. They put earphones in.
I used to do that, you know.
So, same. Yeah, listen, sometimes I still do it. Yeah. But it's like, you know, you can't sleep you have to have earphones into when you're walking along. You have to drown out the reality of the world, or you have to drown out what your mind's saying. Sometimes.
See, I see that a lot, you know, like people with headphones on, just like we're marching through town on the streets and on the buses, in the car, whatever. Yeah. It's and it's like just avoiding life.
I tell you what else is happening as well is people are losing peripheral vision, which is the vision here. Yeah. People are losing that because they're getting focal vision because of phones. They're spending that much time on phones. Listen, I'm guilty of it. I'm not going to pretend, I never spend an hour every day on my phone and meditating. No. But people are losing the vision. That's why kids are like walking the cars, because it's just that becomes the magnetism. Everything. It's digital dementia that people are getting. Yeah. And it's a problem. It's going to be a problem. And I think that if people, I don't know the end to it, but you've got to be mindful that you've got to be able to listen to your voice and actually argue with it when it says, well, you can't do it, so fuck off you. Because then it'll listen. Yeah. It's only giving you advice. It's giving you advice of what's gone on before. It's like a DJ putting it, like, you know, you must have been to a shit wedding. And you're at a wedding and all of a sudden they put Come On Eileen or whatever, or Oops Upside Your Head or the Birdie song, and every grandma's getting up and shit. And they all start dancing. It's an automatic thing. That's what happens. Sometimes this music plays in your head. The DJ starts its song. You dance to the music. And say, hang on a minute, play something else. And your mind goes, wait a minute. And you have to say, I don't want to do that anymore. And then it'll go, well, no, you like this song, and you've got to keep going against it.
The creatures of comfort. It's like
exactly. Yeah. But what's the comfort?
Yeah, and
what's the comfort?
It's like I try new things, you know, like food.
Yeah.
It's a big one.
Yeah,
You know, I always go to Thai food. I always go to Indian curries, and then I go, okay, I'm gonna try something different. But what if you don't like it? Because my head will go like this, Finn. What if you don't like it and you spend that money on it? Well, I won't know if I like it if I don't like it, if I don't like sit down and try it. So
because if you look at it from a different, actual real perspective, it's protecting you.
Yeah.
Because it's saying, oh, you know, if you eat that, you'll get ate by a lion. Do you get what I mean? So it's still doing its job, but in such a vast, in such a subtle way. That it's, when you look at it, it's really surreal, but your mind's always like, oh, don't do that. Yeah. Don't do that. You'll be there. Even with food, even with whatever, it's a difficult thing to do, but this is part of your journey. I'm nowhere near where I want to be, nowhere near this sort of, you know, magical person. I'm not. I'm just me, but I still want to aim to be that magical person. Just see what it's like on that side of it, you know.
So who are the people that you've worked with? You know, like you were telling me, Eddie Alvarez, and you know, you've worked with Liam Harrison. You're working with someone, SpaceX as well?
Yeah, I'm working with a guy who's going into space called John Dean. He's going into SpaceX. He's on the second flight, an astronaut. And he's one of the most influential, enjoyable people I've ever met in my life. He is so smart. Yeah. You know, I ring him and ring him because he's a client of mine, and I come away with loads of stuff. He is so smart, but he's also, he gives me and he's older than me, he's 65, and he's so. What he says, he's. I never thought I'd be able to talk to someone like him, because I thought he was just so much more than me, and that's the belief from being a child and being young and back in the day, and now I talk to him and listen to what he says, and he goes, "Oh, I never knew that." And he's telling me things. He tells me a multitude of things I never knew, and it's just the way that he's made it, the way that what he's come through. You know, maybe not as arduous as what you've gone through in that aspect, but still arduous nevertheless. Yeah. You know, still his life, and it's just so exciting. Yeah, he's going into space with, on the Elon Musk, on the SpaceX thing, and I work for Zach Foldman and Chase Hero, with two amazing businessmen. I call them the Bill and Ted of business. Yeah, because they're just like surfer dudes, really, in a way. If you can explain them in that way, so smart, so good, so kind, so decent. Yeah, I work with some great people. A lot of people go on about Liam, and you know, Liam's a great friend of mine, and you know, I talk about Liam a lot, and I love him dearly. But it's this other side of the world. I'm seeing the other side of things in business and in business people. I've got another client called Craig. He was just adopted, a black kid living from Liverpool. You know, had nothing, gone through the care the system, and now he's smashing it in business. One of the nicest people you could ever meet. I just meet so many. That's what I'm saying. I have so much. They're my clients, but they influence me. Yeah, because I just go.
So it's life's a bit of give and take anyway, isn't it? Yeah, you know, I'm going to speak to you because I want you to listen. You know, you're going to speak to me because you know you want me to hear what you've got to say, and it's always there's a take in everything. Yeah. Well, it's a trade off it. They say it. Life's a trade.
Well, it's the interested instead of interesting.
Yeah. It's like the monkey and the organ grinder. They work together.
Yeah.
It's in that sense. So what? Going forward, I've really enjoyed this, by the way.
Thank you. Know, so have I.
Going forward, what are your plans for the future?
I'm opening an office in Liverpool sometime, probably September or August. I've got a website called the Shoreman Solution that has videos and tips and stuff like that.
I'll put that in the links with this video.
I just want to continue doing what I'm doing. I'll be happy when Karen's better, because Karen's a very dear friend of mine and she's gone through a lot of shit. I'll be happy when she's better. Unfortunately, she's having her last treatment tomorrow, but she's got other things. Just continue to be the best person I can be. Keep training, keep fit. Try complete couch to 5K because it's difficult because of me. I've got an injury in my calf, but anyway. And just, you know what I want to do now is watching yesterday, seeing the children, especially Lewis George and Freddie Haggerty. it was their world title thing, and to see Lewis was upset afterwards. It was a draw, a good fight. Really, it was a draw, simple as that. But I want to help more kids in Muay Thai, and I want to be able to offer them a sponsorship, really, or a sponsorship being able to talk to me and be able to, not for ages, not going on and no in-depth hypnosis, just because of who I am in the community and you know, and the Muay Thai commentary, especially because I'm the voice at the ear of Yokkao and stuff. They see me in a different light, and yesterday I was saying, when the kid lost, I was saying to the coach, "Come here, bring him over," and I said, "You're amazing." I said, "You're good. Listen." I said, "Forget that." I said, "So what? It's a loss, but you're amazing. Look at you. Get your lip. Get your lip. What's up crying? Get your lip." That, because they need that to lift them out of that. Yeah. I think that's in me. That I just want to be able to do that. So moving forward, I'm going to come up with something where I'm going to start sponsoring fighters, you know, and not favouring fighters. So I'd sponsor Freddie and I'd sponsor Lewis, and still, you know, love them both. But I want to do that, really, because I've seen it yesterday, and I think there's a area that I can help influence, you know, them in that way. But I just want to continue working with people, meeting people, being on this. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Nice. And still just keep on keeping on.
It's brilliant, mate. I've enjoyed it. And before I finish, you always say this: have you got any pearls of wisdom, any guidance or anything you'd say to a young Vinny Shoreman walking through those doors or walking through life? What would you say to, if you could go back and tell yourself something?
The one thing that people should do, if they can, is realise that nothing's permanent, including us. And that doesn't mean to be scaring anybody. Nothing's permanent. Pain, positions, who we are, nothing's permanent. We all, you know, I didn't have grey hair once, you know. I think that the main thing is find your inner Goggins, find someone who you look up to. There's people out there that have got stories that, like yours, of triumph. Yours is a story of triumph, regardless. It's a story of triumph, perseverance. There's so many metaphors. We're brought up on metaphors. The Bible, the Quran, they're all metaphors. So it works in the unconscious. Find your inner Goggins. Find someone, if it's your dad, it's your mum, if it's Liam, if it's, I don't know, yourself, you know, John Gillies, whoever. Find someone you can look at, want to be that, and do as much as you can to get there. And I can't thank Master Sken enough for that. I dedicate that to him today. Because if it weren't for him, I wouldn't be where I am. I wouldn't be who I am. So thank you for that.
Brilliant. And with that, thank you very much, Vinny.
Thank you, mate. I enjoyed it. Thank you.